Leadership and Management, a workplace relations training session presented by the Motor Trade Association of South Australia and Northern Territory. My name's Chris Morey. I'm a workplace relations lawyer. I've been practicing for about 20 years in this area, and this morning's presentation is really about helping people to step up to the next level in terms of their leadership and management skills. So I want to start by talking about what is leadership. Well, a leader is really someone who sets a direction and influences people to follow that direction. And the distinction is between leadership and management. And you'll see some scenarios here, and leaders are typically at the top end of the organisation, and managers are someone in the middle. So managers manage people and things, and they provide stability, plan the details, take a credit for success. They tend to be transactional, they have subordinates, they tell it and approve. The leader develops followers. They look towards change, they set the direction, they give credit to others. They're transformational. They have people that follow them, they sell it and they motivate it. The key thing here is that you need both. You do need both in your organisation, but at the top end, and to really move your business forward, you need to have leaders leading your organisation. So while there are parts of any position of authority that are always going to be focused around management, there are also parts of leadership. And management is necessary for dealing with resources. There is a time when management is necessary, but leadership is necessary for dealing with people. So when you're looking at making sure that you've got enough computers or enough tools, management is necessary to make sure that you've got the parts coming in. When you're motivating your people to perform at their best level, you need to be leading them. You need to be encouraging them. So while managers try and manage people instead of lead them, they're treating them like resources, and they will never get the best performance out of their people. You will get the people that just turn up to work every day and just do the bare minimum because that's all the managers expect from them, because they're just a resource. If you can motivate people by being a leader, then you'll get people that will be enthusiastically turning up to work and making sure that everything is done to the best possible ability. So what are some of the effective leadership traits? Well, focus. You need to stay focused on what you want to create. What is it you're doing? What is the intention of being in business? Authenticity, be yourself. Don't try and be someone else. Don't look at leadership courses. Don't look at Joe Blogg down the road that you think is doing really well in his workshop and go, we'll be like him. What makes you different? What is your distinctiveness? If you are yourself, you will be the best leader that you can be. Be courageous. You need to stand firm when everything around you is going wrong, but also admit when you are wrong. And it takes a lot more courage to admit that you're wrong than to stand firm obstinately when you know that it's no longer the right position to be in. Be empathetic, be a really good listener and give recognition to employees. And another of our recorded sessions is tough talks. And it is really difficult to have those tough talks, but an effective leader can have those difficult conversations with employees and still have the employees on board and sympathetic and friendly with them. Timing is really important. Know when to change and when not to. We have talked about that leadership looks towards change, and change is necessary, especially in these difficult times, but know when change is appropriate when it's not. And be open to listen to feedback and new ideas. You don't know everything. Not everyone knows everything, and that's why it's really important to consider feedback from other people, new ideas, even from all of your employees as well. Hold a high level of integrity. Do the right thing even when you don't have to, and this includes giving other people credit. If you've got an idea from someone, give them credit for that. Be clear and concise. So really assertiveness is important, but not overly so, but it's really about being clear and concise with your directions. Be passionate, be enthusiastic, be happy and optimistic. Most of you have gone into this business because you love what you do. Continue to love what you do, show that to your staff. Be humble, don't overly self-promote yourself. Hey, you own the business, but that doesn't mean that you can't get on the tools once in a while. Focus on performance. and give credit where it's due. If someone is doing a great job, give them a credit. Don't just look at performance when they're not performing well. And be creative and innovative. Think outside of the square. It is sometimes necessary to do something different, not just do things the same way. So there are a number of different leadership styles, and it is important to consider what is your leadership style, and because the organisational belief and culture and belief and values would ultimately dictate the overall style of leadership. So there's three styles that are autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. And we're going to go through each of these and think about both two things. What leadership style do you think you have currently, and what would you like to have? What would suit your business? So an autocratic leader makes decisions with no or very little consultation from their team members. And this can be really helpful when decisions need to be made quickly. However, it can be very demoralising and generally results in passive resistance from employees. If employees feel like they have no engagement, they have no say over their work, then they're not going to be engaged in doing their work. Democratic is almost the opposite end of this style. A democratic leader, while making a final decision, will involve team members in the process. And this can be really useful because it can lead to a high level of job satisfaction and productivity, because employees feel engaged in the decisions and therefore they support those decisions. However, it's not really effective when a quick decision is required, and can be really complicated where it gets down to the very nth level of democratic process where every single person has a say in every single decision. And this is where a balance between the two can be necessary. And then finally, laissez-faire. And these exercise very little control over the team. They give them the freedom to sort out their roles and set their own deadlines. And it can actually lead to a really high level of job satisfaction, but can also lead to low productivity as they flounder with little direction or motivation. And it usually only is effective when leading a team that is highly motivated and skilled, that is, that they can manage themselves. So have a think about what is your current style of leadership and what style of leadership you think would be preferred, or whether there's a balance between the three. And that's really important to set the direction as a leader. One of the roles of a leader is to ensure that not only is a team aware of the organisation's strategic directions and values, but to actually model those standards in an ethical way. So, for example, the vision might be to be the dealer of choice in our community. Your mission statement therefore might be to meet and exceed our customers' expectations by providing quality products of outstanding value, ensuring a totally satisfactory experience over the ownership cycle. So how do you set that direction? Well, customer service, commitment to total customer satisfaction. Honesty and integrity comes first in everything we do. Teamwork, listening to and respecting each other while working together to achieve mutually beneficial results. Excellence, always doing what we say we will and striving for excellence and quality in everything we do. And professionalism, at all times acting with integrity, providing quality service and being reliable and responsible. So these sorts of values that are set at the leadership level are important as they create a roadmap for making decisions about how employees do their job and how they react to each other and customers. So some example of some strategic goals that help set the direction for the business. Well, you might want to increase market share and profitability through organic growth. You might want to strengthen organisational capabilities and competencies. Excellence in customer service and satisfaction, really important in a customer service driven industry. Or develop a sustainable and diverse workforce. Avoid having that turnover of staff. So when you're setting a direction, you need to set some really clear goals, and goals are well-defined targets or results that need to be achieved, first of all, by the organisation and by individual teams and by the employee. And these will be follow on from the directions that are for the whole business that you've set. And goals need to be SMART. This is a really important acronym. They need to be very specific. They need to be measurable. You need to be able to measure them. They need to align with the overall aim of the business. They need to be realistic, and they need to be timely. They have to have a time on them. So, for example, to increase part sales by 10% by December, or to maintain reworks at less than 1.5% this quarter, to improve customer satisfaction by 5% this quarter, or to have financial reports completed by the 4th of each month. They are specific, they are measurable, they're aligned to the aim of a business, they are hopefully realistic, and they've got a clear timeline on them. So we've talked a little bit about leadership, but how do you influence others as a leader? How do you make sure that they are performing? Well, trust, confidence, respect, positive role modeling, effective communication and consultation are all essential elements of influencing groups and individuals in an ethical manner. So let's talk about trust. Effective leaders give constant feedback and take the time to know the needs and expectations of their staff, which in turn leads to trust and openness. So that constant communication is really important. And leaders who have the courage to admit their mistakes and to take risks and listen and learn from others also create that environment of mutual trust and respect. So some elements of trust: reliability. I do what I say I will do. Acceptance. Who you are is okay with me. Openness. You're willing to give and receive feedback. And receiving feedback is as important as giving feedback. Straightforwardness. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I think most of our members are probably pretty straightforward. So confidence. Not only does confidence allow leaders to make the tough decisions, but it's also reassuring to those they lead. So you need to display confidence. It can be really difficult where you are looking at the circumstances and you don't feel confident, but you need to display it anyway. So it allows you to conduct meetings with authority and to accept frankness and open communication from others without reacting badly. Respect. Well, due to workplace diversity, we might not always see eye to eye. Experience, religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, upbringing all influence people to see things differently. But it's really important within the workplace culture, and particularly for you as a leader, to respect different views. We might not understand them. We may not agree with them. But as long as they're not contradicting company policy, then you need to respect those different views. The effective communication. I cannot emphasize how important communication is. If this is the one thing that you take away from this session, it is communication. Effective leaders have integrity and generally high emotional intelligence, and they motivate their staff with a shared vision of the future, and they're masters at communication. So effective leadership in an organisation requires knowing how to communicate with everyone within the organisation. It includes all your employees, your other managers, your customers, your other stakeholders. If you've got partners, you need to be able to communicate with them. If you've got shareholders, you need to communicate with them. And part of this is consultation. So communication, consultation is a part of communication where consultation between management and employees with a positive approach to decision making. And this is part of what I talked about with the leadership styles before, is that how do you approach decision making, how do you consult? And through that consultation, leaders can become aware of the issues that are being experienced by the employees and may actually become aware that the proposed decision will not work effectively. So consultation should take place throughout the planning and implementation of any changes. Consultation can occur either one-on-one or team meetings or surveys. There's lots of different ways. Toolbox meetings is really effective for consultation. And it's going to be rare that everyone will agree with the decisions, but it's important to maintain a level of consultation so everyone feels that they've been heard. Even people that don't agree with the decisions, if they feel at least they've been heard, will still accept the decision. A culture of psychological safety encourages that open discussion and even tolerates disagreement and conflicting points of view. It's also really important for you as a leader to have to lead by example, to be a positive role model. So leadership often includes a willingness to do any job you would expect another person to do. If you wouldn't do it, how can you expect another person to do it? That may mean getting out in the workshop, getting on the tools. It may mean, if no one else is available, getting a broom and sweeping out the store. Some leaders believe it. Sometimes it's important to get your hands dirty. And I am actually a really big believer in this in my own team, that I will always be available to do any role if no one else is available to do it. Natural as a leader, you can't always do it all the time. There's other calls on your time, but be willing to do it if needed. So how do you lose respect? Well, if the people you work with or who work for you do not respect you, they will question every decision and keep an eye on the door as they look for somewhere else to do work. One guarantee for high turnover is losing respect. So here are some respect-killing behaviours that have to be avoided at all costs. First is being disrespectful to others. Expecting other people to respect you when you're disrespecting them is just an exercise in futility. So with respect, you reap what you sow. If you respect others, then they will show you respect in turn. Another similar notion, if you permit disrespect to others, so if you tolerate someone disrespecting co-workers, it's exactly the same thing as just disrespecting them yourself. Showing up late repeatedly, and this is really important. If you show up late, then you'll get loss of respect, and there might be legitimate reasons when even the most responsible person can run late. But if you're frequently late for meetings, if you're frequently late turning up to work when people need you there on time, people know you don't respect them and they will lower their respect for you. If people are waiting on you all the time, then they'll lose that respect. And in the same way, failing to meet commitments. People don't respect those who are all talk and no action. If you commit to something, do it. You can miss a deadline or forget a task once in a while, maybe, but if it happens all the time, well, people will figure out you're not accountable and not worthy of respect. If you commit to an action, take it. If you commit to a deadline, do everything possible to meet that deadline. If you are not going to meet the deadline, explain why and set a further deadline. And don't become defensive when questioned. If you get defensive when someone points out you made a mistake, you're basically telling them that you're not able to own your mistakes. And that means that they will not respect you when that happens. And again, by the same token, blaming someone else for your mistakes is worse than trying to cover them up, because someone else ends up taking the heat and people recognise it and they will not respect you. If you own up to your mistakes, obviously try and avoid the mistakes, but if you own up to mistakes, people will respect that. And finally, doing the bare minimum. You might think you're being smart and pushing all the work off to other people, but people will notice and it will affect your reputation and can lead to very negative consequences in your professional life. There are managers I've seen that set themselves up in a way that they delegate all of the work to other people, they assign other people to do tasks, and as a result, they're just doing that bare minimum as manager. And people do notice and they just don't have the respect, and ultimately that impacts upon their professional life. And gossip, the spreading stories about the personal lives of the people you work with is guaranteed to lose your respect. Don't gossip in the workplace, don't gossip at all. And they will gossip about you at the first opportunity because they know you can't be trusted with a secret either. Expecting an A for effort. You're accountable for your results, but not your activities. So in fact, if you went to a great deal of effort without creating useful results, you should be graded down further. People expect to see outcomes, not just effort. So how do you motivate your employees? Well, motivation is about the psychological process that stimulate excitement and the persistent and voluntary actions aimed at achieving a goal. And because motivation can be highly individualised, it's essential to understand the psychological processes involved in motivation. And here we look at what's called the pyramid of needs. Psychological needs are those needs that are required for humans. So physiological needs are those needs that are required for human survival. And as a leader, you can account for physiological needs of your employees or co-workers by providing comfortable working conditions, reasonable work hours, necessary breaks to use the bathroom and to eat or drink. Safety needs. Now, these are needs that provide a person with a sense of security and well-being. So personal security, financial security, good health and protection from accidents, harm or their adverse effects are all included in safety needs. And as a leader, you can account for the safety needs of your employees or co-workers by providing safe working conditions, secure compensation, such as a good salary and job security, which is especially important in a poor economy. Needs is also called love and belonging. It refers to the need to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. And social needs are important to humans so they don't feel alone or isolated or depressed. And friendships, family and intimacy all work to fulfill social needs. And as a leader, you can account for the social needs of your employees by making sure that your employees and co-workers get to know one another, that there's cooperative teamwork, that you're accessible and kind and promote a good work-life balance. Self-esteem needs. They refer to the need for self-esteem and respect, with self-respect being slightly more important than gaining respect and admiration for others. And as a leader, you can account for the esteem needs of your employees or co-workers by offering praise and recognition when they do well, and generally making them feel like they're a valued employee. And finally, self-actualization. And this describes a person's need to reach his or her full potential. The need to become what one is capable of is something that's highly personal. And this is actually addressed in the World Health Organization's definition of mental health, is the reaching full potential. While I might have a need to be a good parent, you might have a need to hold an executive level position within your organisation. And because this need is individualised, as a leader, you can account for this need by providing challenging work, inviting workers to participate in decision making and giving them flexibility and autonomy in their jobs. Now, Maslow believes that lower level needs must be met before higher level needs, but what do you think? What is important ones and how do you address each of these needs within your workplace? So in terms of how to lose respect, people don't want to be managed, they want to be led. And this is really important, and a key thing I hope you can take away from this is that it's about leading your employees rather than managing them. Don't treat them as resources, but treat them as people. And most importantly, keep that line open for clear communication. Hope you've enjoyed this session on leadership and management. If you have any questions, we can be contacted on wr@mtasant.com.au or call us on 8291 2000. If you have any feedback, please feel free to let us know. We always welcome feedback on these sessions. Thank you.